Hello, you guys. Welcome back to Ask a LinkedIn Girly. Today, I'm so excited to get this off my chest. I have been thinking so much about kind of like where we draw the line, like boundaries with posting online, especially regarding career stuff. I've been thinking about the career influencers and LinkedIn. I've been thinking a lot about LinkedIn, of course, but I've more so recently been thinking about like the cons of LinkedIn and the hate that LinkedIn gets. Like, I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know if there's been a rise of it. I feel like people have always hated LinkedIn, and I've never really thought about it. Like, I've been like, yeah, I get it. Some people are cringe on LinkedIn, and that's what you hate about LinkedIn. And that's fine. Just unfollow the people that you find annoying. It's not that deep. It's not that deep, is how I was viewing it before. However, now I'm like moving away from whatever other people hate about LinkedIn. I don't know. Like, it could just be like, because you see like the LinkedIn Lunatics subreddit, and that's about like individuals who are being unhinged on LinkedIn. But if you philosophically think about the actual concept of LinkedIn and social media for professional uses, I do feel like there's a lot to unpack. And that's not exactly what LinkedIn's biggest haters are doing, I don't think. I think they're like a lot of times attacking individual people, which is really not cool hearing myself say it out loud. It's like, whoa, probably shouldn't be doing that, but it's the internet. Um, so, anyways, moving away from them, I'm not representing the haters, but I I do want to talk about some of the cons of LinkedIn or some of the things that I've been scared about recently, some of the things that I've been contemplating. Okay, I have notes. I have. Did you know that you could print like that? You can print 2 pages on one sheet. I really like it because it's like a booklet. Anyways, okay, I think I'm going to title this video, "We're increasingly blending our personal identities with our work lives. What are the consequences?" Okay? So recently, I've been putting more and more time into my hobbies, creative pursuits, artistic endeavors, things that don't relate to my business and my work. Which, when I say work, what is work? We'll get into that later as well. We'll unpack that because that's another thing I've been thinking a lot about. What even is work? What is considered work? What do we consider work nowadays in the modern day? Work doesn't look like it used to for a lot of people. So, what is work? What is not work? We'll talk about that. But, anyways, so I've been speaking at poetry open mics, I've done stand up, I've been painting a ton and learning how to roller skate. And I've wondered, do I post about these things on LinkedIn? Should I? It sounds easy enough to just say, no, just post about content strategy and marketing and actual work things. But, couple follow up thoughts here. What if I'm not interested in content strategy and marketing for like 3 weeks straight? What if for 3 weeks straight, I just want to do the bare minimum, work for clients, do my business, and I don't feel like talking about it? Then am I not supposed to post on LinkedIn for 3 weeks straight? I feel like if during those 3 weeks I'm focused on things like comedy and art and poetry, maybe I should post about those things. However, this is where things get a little complicated. Walk with me here. Walk with me here. Okay. So, again, the answer might seem obvious. Just post about poetry if that's what you want to do. Here's the thing, though, this goes deeper. Let's say we all start posting about all of our hobbies and random passions and interests on LinkedIn, a professional platform. What happens then is, of course, we're bringing more and more of our personal life into our work life. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? No quick answers. Think about it. What could be good? What could be bad about bringing more of our personal life into our work life? Because I think it's both. I think it can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing. Here's why. Here's why it might be a good thing, okay? We do need to see each other's humanity in the workplace. It is important to learn about each other and connect deeply. As humans, we need that. It's probably not healthy to strictly segment your life and isolate work from everything else when that takes up a good chunk of your day. Being seen and understood is meaningful. So that's why I think it could be a good thing to be sharing more of our personal lives and more of our personalities and bringing our hearts on here. Okay? Now, let's talk about when it might become a bad thing. First of all, it just seems a little dystopian or like overly capitalistic to offer up your personal life to be consumed through a professional lens. There's inevitably a certain filter that's applied, as it should be, because I don't really want to discuss my deepest traumas with random marketing professionals. But as I say that, it sounds like, of course, in what situation would you be discussing your deepest traumas with random marketing professionals? And yet, I have done that. I have had a lot of career chats and conversations that spiral into something much deeper, especially with other women. And it's actually led to some of the most beautiful human moments. So, actually, maybe I do want to share my deepest traumas with random marketing professionals. Maybe that is what I want to do. I guess the issue becomes making things palatable, knowing, okay, if I'm doing this hobby, how does it apply to my work life? If this is a very emotional hobby, are people going to think I'm over emotional? Or if I talk about mental illness, are people going to think that I can't complete my work because I'm not mentally stable? If I talk about my struggles, am I going to see, like, there's inevitably this filter when work is at stake. There's a filter that you apply that you don't when you're just talking to, say, your friends privately. Of course, of course. But can you see how that can get weird fast? Anyways, so I've heard from a lot of other Gen Zers the desire to just clock in and clock out. I've heard complaints about noisy coworkers and prodding managers. I've made those complaints myself. I felt deeply uncomfortable with men I've worked with sending me gifts and asking about my love life. I've even been annoyed by other coworkers innocently enough inquiring about why I have to take time off to go to the doctors. In moments like these, I completely understand the appeal of icing out professional environments from my personal sacred truths. But with the rise of platforms like LinkedIn, combined with workplace insecurity and a mass shift towards freelancing and fractional work, we're all feeling more and more pressure to build a personal brand and stand out from the crowd. Add color to your work persona by loudly proclaiming your opinions, sharing personal quirks, and being deeply vulnerable. I guess my question is, where do we draw the line? It's easy to throw out platitudes like, you get to decide how much you share. But on a deeper level, do we? Do we? Do we get to decide? Not without consequence. If someone's struggling to pay their bills each month, and it's becoming increasingly clear that a highly visible personal brand would change that, would allow them to pay their bills, it's hardly a choice. If we need to build a personal brand to make more money, and we need to make more money to survive, then we need to build a personal brand to survive. That's not a choice. Platitudes don't erase that. Now, I don't think we're actually quite at the point where that's true. I don't think you need to build a personal brand to survive. But 5 years from now, 10 years from now, maybe. Is that where we're heading? I don't know. I think currently there are some people that are able to get by with their privacy intact, and I guess I just wonder if that will still be the case in the future. Okay, let's go back to the original question of what actually is work. If we're talking about the line between work and personal life, we need to define which is which. And again, I think the rise of freelancing and gig work has blurred the lines. Is work something that makes money? What about something that might make money in the future but currently doesn't? Like going to networking events or working on your taking up free taking free workshops, free speaking gigs. That feels like working. If I accepted a free workshop about LinkedIn strategy or content marketing and I wasn't getting paid for it, I think I would still consider that working, even though you're not getting paid. There's the potential for payment. Okay. If it is, this is a huge one for me. Is a job that feels difficult and challenging more valid than a job that feels easy, effortless, and not like work? For example, this is like a core foundational. This is how I started my career recently, or really, this is how I started my working days. When I was 15, turning 16, I started working at a snack shack. And it was so hot and honestly miserable. It was not a good environment. It was hard work working at this snack shack. Like I was cutting up the potatoes, I was doing the dishes, I was taking out the trash, I was running around in the heat, taking orders, getting yelled at. Working in the snack shack was very hard, and I did that all summer. Then, at the end of the summer, I was offered a modeling job in Boston. And for that job, I drove down to Boston. My sister drove me. I didn't even drive. I was in the passenger seat. I couldn't drive at the time. I was 15, or 16, 15 or 16. Anyways, I couldn't drive. My sister drove me and went to the studio, sat in a chair while a woman did my makeup, and then I sat in a Mercedes convertible while a photographer took pictures from above, a fan blowing in my face, hair blowing in the wind, sitting in a Mercedes-Benz convertible, and then I left. And I made more from that modeling gig sitting in the convertible than I did all summer in the snack shack. And that's how I was able to buy my first car. The modeling gig combined with the snack shack, the modeling gig carrying more weight. Working so hard all summer versus sitting in a convertible for maybe a couple hours. The snack shack was work, of course. The modeling gig was that work. The immediate answer is, yeah, that was work. I mean, you had to be there and you got paid for it. But it's like I wasn't working. I really wasn't working. So I don't know. I don't know. The other day, I was playing a game with a group and got asked, do you think being an influencer is a real job? I had to come up with an answer on the spot, and instead of thinking too deeply about it, I just made a joke about my own work ethic and kind of moved on. But now I've been thinking, is being an influencer a real job? They're getting paid. Some influencers are contributing positively to society, but many are not. But at the same time, you could say that about any profession. A super mean, bad, terrible accountant might not be contributing positively to society, but that doesn't discount the entire profession. When you see a day in the life of when you see a day in the life of an influencer, it often looks like they don't work. Then you think about it, and the filming and editing of the video is the work. But what about the buying of the matcha? Is that work? What about that fancy group dinner? Is that work because they were networking with other influencers? What makes it work? Is it the potential to lead to money, or is it the act of striving, the exertion of effort? Because again, I've found that some things can lead to money without the exertion of effort. Are those things work? After contemplating all of that, I looked up the definition of the word work. The first definition that comes up in the Cambridge Dictionary is an activity such as a job that a person uses physical and mental effort to do, usually for money. So, usually for money, but not always. That takes physical or mental effort. But how much? How much effort? I mean, this can't actually be quantified, but ponder with me. How much physical or mental effort does it take for you to consider something work? Do you hold the same standards for yourself as you do for other people? It's interesting. It's interesting. I would say I don't. I think for me to consider myself having worked, I expect myself to put a lot of effort in versus if someone just gets out of bed, I'm like, "That was work. That was hard work getting out of bed. I'm so proud of you." I hold myself to higher standards of what's considered work. It's weird. These are the things I've been thinking about. Back to the LinkedIn boundaries thing. I guess work-wise, I will always advocate, or I shouldn't say always actually, but right now I will continue to advocate for women to be on LinkedIn, for women business owners to be on LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is our chance to get on those golf courses, get in those cigar bars where the men have always done business kind of without us. I think this is our chance to like get in the mix, and I think it's like really the best way for women to build their businesses relationally. I think it's a beautiful thing. I think a lot of important things happen on LinkedIn, and I would never want to lead any woman business owner away from that. So I will continue to help women business owners show up on LinkedIn strategically, of course. I'm just saying there's some nuance. There are some things we have to think about. If I am working with a woman on her LinkedIn strategy, do I recommend that she posts about all of her hobbies? Or do I recommend that she shares her private poetry? Do I recommend that she keeps it dry and only talks about work? Like, of course, there's a balance. Of course. It's just interesting to think about. And for myself, my own account, my own person, I've been thinking a lot about like, where do I want to draw the line? Do I want to share my own poetry and my own art and my comedy? Like, those, to me, those kind of feel like heavy things. Because, okay, roller skating, like, that is so neutral. But comedy, sometimes the joke can go too far. Poetry sometimes can be a little too intense for something like LinkedIn. And so, yeah, it's just, where do you draw the line? Where do you draw the line? What is right for what environment? And it's interesting. What is right for what environment and why? Let me know in the comments. Seriously, I want to have these conversations. I'm so interested in what people have to say about this. So please let me know what you think. Bye. Thanks for watching.